Yes, it was really a big day yesterday here in Abuja. President Bola Tinubu says the newly unveiled industrial policy will revive dormant factories, strengthen local manufacturing, and reposition Nigeria as a competitive industrial hub. Speaking at the unveiling in Abuja, President stressed the need for strong collaboration with the private sector to ensure the successful implementation of the policy. Helen Osamede Kings reports.
Nigeria's manufacturing sector has faced years of decline driven by high production costs, unstable power supply and inconsistent policies. Many factories have shut down or continue to operate far below capacity. Previous industrial policies recorded limited success, largely due to weak implementation and insufficient private sector participation. With the unveiling of the new Nigerian industrial policy, the federal government says it is committed to driving the reforms needed to transform the sector and boost economic growth.
Nigeria industrial policy is firmly aligned with our macroeconomic reforms. It aligns with our trade and export ambitions under the African Continental Free Trade Area. It is aligned with our commitment to local content, competitiveness and investment certainty. It is aligned with our resolve to build an industrial economy that works for everyday Nigerians.
Today, we make a declaration as a country, a declaration to ourselves and to the world that industrialization is no longer a distant aspiration, but that industrialization is a disciplined national priority.
Industry stakeholders say beyond policy formulation, government must actively protect local industries and guarantee reliable power supply to stimulate sustainable growth.
I think the right way is to make sure we allow people to only invest in the machinery to focus on the primary goods that they want to produce. But when you look at it, some factories, you spend more money generating power. So it means that the national power, you have to have a power.
And it should mean to promote indigenous entrepreneurship. This is contained there. This is very important. It is important to find a way to promote indigenous entrepreneurship, to promote them not only to really stimulate them to start the business, to find a way that will be sustained in the future.
The Nigerian industrial policy is also designed to diversify the economy away from oil dependence, increase local production, and expand manufacturers' contribution to the nation's gross domestic products.
This represents three decisive shifts. One, first, from fragmentation to coordination. Second, from extraction to value addition. And third, from policy announcement to policy implementation.
For progress, it guides investment, strengthens industry, and open door to innovation. It aligns with Sustainable Development Goal, powering inclusive economic growth, clean energy, sustainable food system, and resilient community.
While the policy outlines an ambitious roadmap for industrial growth, stakeholders say its success will depend largely on effective implementation, sustained private sector collaboration, and improved infrastructure, particularly power supply. Helen Osamede Akins, TVC News, Abuja.
Well, my guest is the Director General of the National Automotive Design and Development Council, Soluwemimo Osonipi. Good afternoon, DG. It's good to have you live in Abuja.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, you were at that event yesterday, and first is looking at the quality of guests at that event, the likes of Alhaji Dangote, there's the likes of Coleman, CEO and MD, all of the notable Nigerians in the industrial space. I saw them at that gathering. First, let me ask you, what do you make of that policy and what it intends to achieve?
Okay, I will talk generally, but more specifically I will talk more specifically on automotive sector. So when you look at the strategic thrust of the policy, it's point to industrial diversification as well as value chain development. And when you talk about value chain development, then you are looking at what we have been championing, which is local component development. So when you look at value chain development, it means the industrial diversification is not looking at the product alone, because some product are going to serve as raw material to another product. Okay. So what is output here may serve as input in another to manufacture another kind of product. And this is where the thing gets more interesting, especially when you look at automotive sector and you look at those things that this policy are meant to achieve. And again, one other thing that really made me happy when you could see the involvement of the stakeholders.
Yes.
When the DG of MAN was talking, he said about the involvement of everyone that's supposed to play a role. So it means this policy was not just put together and dumped on the lap of the investors. And when was it Alhaji Dangote, when he was talking, he mentioned about the economy of Nigeria,
yes,
that is driven majorly by
the private sector.
Yes.
Yes.
It means our private sector were now involved in putting together this policy. And apart from that, one other, the professor that reviewed the policy said something. The policy was not only made, the policy also came with implementation strategies. So which means the step-by-step measures that will be taken to implement those things were part of the policy. And that's why, for us, it's addressed most of the things that we are looking at in automotive. We are looking at local component development. So with the value chain development, that address that. And then you see, Alhaji Dangote mentioned something about government focusing more on providing infrastructure.
Yes.
And then it's part of the second strategic thrust there is infrastructure. How to address this infrastructure. And one of the major ones they mentioned there, most especially, is part of power. So how to provide power, and you hear Minister mention about blended power. So it can be off-grid, it can be grid, it can be renewable energy, everything put together. So, and again, this is part of the challenges that automotives are facing. You see, a lot of automotive players, big automotive player, the first thing they will mention to you is not even the incentive. Just, and Alhaji Dangote mentioned it there yesterday, they have much more. Nigeria have provided a lot of incentives. But now we need to move a step further. It's not only just to focus on incentive, we focus on providing the infrastructure, providing the policy which is going to serve as the compass that we follow, and then let that policy be stable and sustainable.
Yes, stable and sustainable. That's where it takes me to policy stability, transparency, and also in that document you talked about measurable outcomes, looking at what follows, because everyone is expecting that what is next. In your thoughts now on your own industry, what is next with regards to taking advantage of this policy? The Nigerian First policy is also there.
Okay, yes. If you read this NIP,
yes,
industrial policy, part of the strategy there, part of the policy trust they put there is Nigerian First policy. It's part of subset there.
Okay.
And the Nigerian First policy means patronizing local made goods. And you can infer from what Alhaji Dangote mentioned that we need to protect our own. And part of way of protecting our own is patronage. So when you patronize your local manufactured goods, you are indirectly providing job, you are expanding investment for them. So that's part of what we are looking at. And with this policy, that's part of what we in automotive are taking on. And luckily, federal government has launched, Federal Executive Council
has
approved that Nigerian First policy, and we are working with PPP on how it affects us. So how it affects our industry. And with NIP, that's the Nigeria Industrial Plan, putting it there also as Nigerian First policy, a part of what we need to implement. So it means everything come together, because Nigerian Industrial Policy is the bigger one, and just Nigerian First policy is part of the strategy to achieve that. Okay,
so now if we look at our local manufacturers now let's look at automotive, automobiles, and that your own segment. Let's look at some challenges and how they can be addressed, because I think this policy structure or this policy paper should also address those challenges. Now, what are those things that we need to do more for us to be able to get more parts, vehicle parts here manufactured locally? At the time we spoke about brake pads, we spoke about oil filters and all of that. Now, where are we DG, with regards to increasing this capacity of this production?
Okay, let me state here that in automotive we have Nigeria Automotive Industry Development Plan, which is also, let me say, it can be a subset of this NIP. So, and when you look at those other things that we have in that plan, it's part of what, and then we are marry it with what we have in NIP, because we are going to have a committee in our own sector to look at the NIP to see how it affects us and how we can take advantage of that policy so that for the betterment of the sector. Let's take them one after the other. You said, how are we going to benefit from it? We look at infrastructure development. Then we already have something we are working on, because when I saw that, I said, yes, this is where our own we can quickly key in. Okay. When you look at the value chain and how to develop those infrastructure, we have something we are working on already, which is an industrial park. This industrial park is where we want to push under this policy, now under the implementation of this policy, to see how more investment can come into that industrial park. When you put industrial park, that investment there, so that we can have one point of service in terms of infrastructure to different kind of player. For example, you should have power there. It means you should have manufacturing base part, you should have providing training, you should have whatever you are doing in that kind of value chain. That same power will be able to serve you. You should have a hall or a warehouse where you can store your final product. Yes. It means everybody can have their section there where they can co-own or share. It's going to be shared facility. So these are the things we are looking at, and then try to drive investment or attract conversation into that narrative, so to support that narrative, especially in NATO. So we've studied it, but we are going to stop it in depth and see where we can take advantage. One of those things is what Alhaji Dangote mentioned, protect our own industry. And that's what we will continue to push for automotive. We need to protect automotive industry. There's no way we are going to leave our automotive industry or the players open to foreign competition. It won't work. And that's what we are going to push under this new policy
document. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, discussing, understanding the National Industrial Plan and what it means, of course, for us as Nigerians. And my guest is Soluwemimo Osonipin, who is the Director General of the Nigerian Automotive Design and Development Council. Let's now stay with the council, because at least a lot of work is going on. We've seen some of it. It's a new year, well, February now, and a lot of expectations, all of those challenges we faced before now. What is new at the NADDC? What should we be expecting with regards to the automotive industry? We know that we see it's better than before. We see electric cars on our road now. We see cleaner energy, gas-fired vehicles and all. What more are we doing to deepen this?
Okay, I will still make reference to what happened yesterday. Because if you go through that policy, the NIP, part of what there is to facilitate trade as well as ensure quality product as well as standard. So, because you will not be able to sell if you don't ensure quality product as well as standard. So in this 2026, we are focusing, just as we said, those things that we have started, and we are going to go more into enforcement of those quality and standard. It was there, well written in the NIP that was launched yesterday. So, and in that, firstly, we are going to involve all the players in the industry. We are working with SON, that's Standard Organization of Nigeria, to ensure that the vehicle that will come in from any parts of the world to Nigeria, as well as the parts that will come in to Nigeria, meet the international standard. And in doing so, we have to ensure that the vehicle, especially used vehicle, coming into the country meets those standards. Vehicle that has been categorized as off-road in some jurisdiction don't find their way
to Nigeria. So we are stopping all of that.
So that's one we are working with SON to ensure that. And not only that, locally within Nigeria, we are working with AMDON. AMDON is Association of Motor Dealers of Nigeria. So we are working with them. We are working with their leadership to ensure that we account for everyone that is selling motor vehicles. So that if, let's say, Tolu, you walk into a motor shop and you buy a vehicle, you will be able to go back 6 months after and say, I bought this motor vehicle from so. And if anything happened, you want to trace someone, you trace in that vehicle, you'll be able to trace and have the record, history of that vehicle. And then you'll be able to go to whoever you bought it from. AMDON will be able to identify one of their members, any of their members that's involved in any malpractice or things like that. So that's why we need to work with AMDON. Make sure that AMDON put their house in order and then ensure that whatever that needed to be done is done. So if they have challenges along the way, we've addressed them, we've started talking to them so that we can address those challenges altogether. If they have challenge with, let's say they have challenge with custom, then we've told them we will bring custom to them. Custom will explain to them what they need to do. So that by the time you know what you need to do, then you will do it. But if you fail to do it, the law will take its course. So these are the things we are trying to ensure so that at the end of the day, we are going to ensure quality, we are going to ensure standard, we are going to ensure safety, and again, ensure value for money for Nigerian that are buying vehicle. The same way with used as well as new vehicle.
There was I read of it online too when I looked at some of the activities. The end of life policy thing. I think for vehicles, people who abandon vehicles and all of that. Can you talk to us about that?
Okay, end of life. We have what is known as end of life regulation.
Okay,
that regulates the activities of vehicle that has gotten to end of life.
Okay,
that a vehicle will get to end of life when it's no longer suitable for the purpose it was procured, or the reason why you procure it, it's no longer suitable for that purpose, and then you need to dispose it off. So we've seen some, we just leave it in garage, that is workshop, that is mechanic workshop, and abandon those vehicles. So they constitute earth hazard to the community, to the environment, and we need to undo something about that. And not only that, there's economic part of it. If you go to most of these mechanics, they will ask you buy Tokumbo, don't buy new parts, buy Tokumbo parts. Then you ask yourself, how do they get those parts? Those parts are those ones when you pieces an end of life vehicle. The fact that a vehicle has gotten to end of life is maybe because of accident, and the accident may affect one part of the vehicle, but not the other parts. So you can still pull out those parts that are not affected, and then generates generates market for second-hand products. So in Nigeria, we want to have a situation where we can have our own market for second-hand parts. So these second-hand parts are still good, very good, and then we generate their market. Currently, we go to other countries to go and import those used parts. Meanwhile, our own used parts are parked somewhere, either in police station, by the road, mechanic workshop. So we want those people that have this, they will turn them in. So we are working with we are working with those who want to invest in recycling plants. So that and then those that already have some recycling plants that are not specifically for automobile. We want to see how they can adapt and then be able to carry out part of the automobile recycling. Because on automobile, you can recycle plastic, you can recycle metal, you can recycle iron. There are a lot of things you can recycle. Even the gas that you have for AC, then you can quickly drain the gas and still use the gas. Even the oil can still be drained and be reused. So these are the things we are trying to put together under end of life.
Finally, DG, this document again, back to it, because it's on the front burner now. That's what everyone is talking about. Should also help transform this sector. All things being equal, things work fine. What are your expectations for the auto industry growth, say for another 2 to 3 years? What do you think? What do you, because our roads now, we see it in Lagos, we see it in Abuja here. Electric vehicles are now, people now charge vehicles. Gradually, we are getting to understand this. So where do you see us, all things being equal, in another few years?
The first thing that we saw, that we manifest is, and which we have to first of all address, is the issue of building capacity, the skill required to maintain those vehicles. Perfect. So I was discussing, we put together, tried to consult with some people, and we have gotten to a point where we are trying to do some exchange with a company in China. It's government agency also in China that have a technical college where it is owned by government. And we are still trying to see how we can do some exchange so that we can develop capacity, because electric vehicle, for example, they are coming in numbers, in high numbers to the country. And not only to Nigeria, even some other West African countries, but Nigeria is number one when you look at the influx of electric vehicles. So we need to first of all develop that capacity. And that's why we have come up with National Operational Standard that will help in that regard. But even with that NOS, the manual that we have released, it's not enough. So we are focusing on building that capacity that will support that. Then, because then infrastructure is easier, because you investors, private sector can easily come in and do those ones. And you could see now that since we have a lot of electric vehicle on the road, a lot of other investors are already coming in. And government also is looking at that. As I read in the paper around December, that federal government approved some vehicles to be purchased for civil servants. It's going to be used by civil servants across the country, so to at least help in moving civil servants from home to the office and things like that. So also they are electric vehicles. So when government is putting this in place, government is also providing infrastructure. I'm sure when you are coming from Lagos, you saw it in Abuja Airport, where you can take electric bus from airport to Wuse. So it's there. So and you see that I think they leave every 30 or 20 minutes. So that's something. So when you see that, what will also come to mind is we have to make sure that we sustain that, and for us to sustain that, we need to build capacity to support that. So if private sector will invest in that, but we need to support them in building capacity.
Let's see how it all plays out. Director General, National Automotive Design and Development Council, Salu Emimo Osonipe. Thank you so very much for coming in for the show today. And your car too is packaged in Nigeria, right?
Yes. Assembled in Nigeria.
Assembled in Nigeria. Yes. So that's a good one for you. You too.
Yes.
Thank you so much, DG, and do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right then.
Yes.
Well, still to come on the show, we'll now move to developments in Nigeria's oil and gas industry.